Hello everyone, I'm Sabrina and today I'd like to do a book review for you. Last night I finished Winter and Stars Above. Yeah, I know, 2 books on the go, but there's a reason for that and I'll tell you later. These are 2 books within the Lunar Chronicles series written by Marissa Meyer. Now I thought rather than just reviewing 2 individual books, I thought I'd do the whole series together because it makes sense. There are 4 books in the Lunar Chronicles: Cinder, Scarlet, Cress and Winter, and as you can tell I don't have the first 2, which is really frustrating, so I'm going to have to go out and get them at some point this year just to make my bookcase look tidy. There are also a collection of short stories. Most of them are gathered in Stars Above, and Fairest was put out by itself. The series is a sci-fi fairy tale retelling. It follows the exploits of our main character Cinder and her battle for Earth's freedom against the tyrannical queen of Lunar, Lavina. There's also a small problem of a plague wiping out the population of Earth. That too has to be resolved. Cinder is a reworking of Cinderella. Scarlet, Little Red Riding Hood. Cress is Rapunzel, and Winter, as you might have guessed, is Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. What I like about this series is how clever those fairy tales are moulded and shaped to fit in this new world. Although these are still fairy tale characters, they're also very individually their own characters, not just a carbon copy of a fairy tale character, 2D and flat. These characters, they live and breathe. Throughout the series, things are drawing to a big conclusion. There is going to be a big battle. There are going to be consequences of the actions happening throughout this series. And I'm very pleased to say that unlike a lot of other YA series, this one doesn't fall flat at its conclusion. The reader is rewarded with a big payoff. It's worth investing in these books, sticking with the characters and getting through to the end. Because yeah, that ending really does work. I don't want to spoil too much about the series for you. I want you to go and enjoy and discover it on your own. But briefly, there's a battle brewing between Luna and Earth, centred around the Eastern Commonwealth, led by Emperor Kai. Cinder is a citizen within this area, and she's a cyborg, which means she is less than a person. She has little rights, no say, and no control really over her life, very much like her Cinderella counterpart. She does have a stepmother who is particularly cruel and harsh towards her. There's also a stepsister, one who's not very nice, and one who absolutely worships the ground Cinder walks on and loves her to pieces, regardless of the fact she's a cyborg. Cinder herself is a very talented mechanic, part of her gift as being a cyborg, but also part of her natural character. She ends up meeting Emperor Kai while fixing a droid for him. This leads to huge consequences further down the line, and Cinder finding out that she's far more than what she just seems to be. Her story is then continued through Scarlet, where events move to France, and we meet Little Red Riding Hood's equivalent in this world, and of course the wolf. Cress takes our story further, developing the political aspects that are going on, and is a retelling of Rapunzel. I love the relationship in this book. The characters, Cress and Thorn, really do bounce off each other, and it's one of the funniest books in the series because of it. And then there's Winter. Things have moved to Luna now. Everything has got serious. Both civilizations are on the brink of war, and this book doesn't fail to deliver on that. A lot of YA series I've heard about lately, Queen of the Tearling, I'm looking at you, have let readers down by their concluding part. Winter doesn't fail to deliver. Winter gives you a big conclusion. There is a big setup throughout these books, and Winter, okay, is the biggest book in the series, but it has a lot to do and it does it very, very well. I just briefly want to talk about the short stories. You can see Fairest and Stars Above behind me. Fairest is a prequel to the series, dealing with Queen Lavina, how she came to be, and what made her the way she is in the books. I would say it's a nice little touch to the series, but you don't need to read it to understand her completely. I enjoyed it though. Stars Above is a collection of short stories, some of which have been published individually, like The Little Android, and some which are new. A lot of these tales are very short little snippets of different characters that we meet and just points in their life. Cinder obviously gets a nice little dose of story there because she is our main character. But The Little Android was a standalone story dealing with nobody we'd met before, and I thought it was really nice. It's a reworking of The Little Mermaid. Okay, I saw someone complain on Goodreads that there was no Ursula character. I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name at the moment, and I can see where you're coming from there. But for me, it was more about the little android herself rather than the fight between good, evil and for true love. I thought it was very sweet and touching. The last story in the series comes after the events of Winter. So obviously I had to wait to finish Winter before I could finish Stars Above, which got a little confusing, but I managed to cope with it. I thought it was a nice little coda to events that we've seen. It wasn't necessary, like many of the stories in this collection. But if you want to immerse yourself completely in this world, then yeah, it was very nice and very sweet. I would recommend the Lunar Chronicles to pretty much anybody because it's not a typical YA series. This is a sci-fi series. Sci-fi series are often looked down upon, but really they reflect what's going on in our own world. And I would say the Lunar Chronicles actually does that. It deals with things like prejudice, manipulation, war, loss, love, hate, suspicion. All the things we've got going on in our own world right now. And I think it's quite poignant, really, how this book series gets into your head and makes you think about things that are real while telling you a fantasy story. So yeah, Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I really liked it. I would quite happily reread it again when I eventually get the time. And I would, you know, I'd like more of these characters. I've certainly grown to love and appreciate them quite a lot. I'm particularly fond of Cinder. I had to have to say Scarlet's probably my favourite out of the lot. But then Cress and Thorn are also very good characters and very sweet and funny, which makes them very endearing. So Lunar Chronicles, have you read them? Did you like them? Please let me know down below in the comments section and I'll try and get back to you. Thank you for watching and happy reading. Bye!